experience of working on Black Panther teach you that you did not know before?
Well, I had to rely on what I knew before because it was such a massive project, and I figured that the reason Ryan asked for me and Marvel agreed was based on what I had done before. So I thought about my artistry and what I love to do, and I brought that to the table first. And I guess through the experience of getting everybody in the various costume looks and really having to, think really deeply about Africa and how we all wanted it to be very royal. I was challenged every day. I was never ever relaxed and saying, I got this. I was challenged every day. So anytime there was a new costume in its development, it was an exercise of how do we make this different and how do we present it in the right way? How do we dispel stereotypes and myths? And so that was constantly in the foreground of my mind when I picked fabrics, when I evaluated the end results. I mean, I looked at the Dora prototypes, different elements of the Dora several times, and really got emotional about it because it just had to be right. If there was something that I felt looked like a costume, where I was like, this is not the Lion King, folks. We are going to make this. We are going to make this, and we're going to make this right. If I have to, lay down and die for it. Amen. So I guess through the intensity of that experience, I mean, I look at pictures of myself standing on set, or I remember seeing someone sent me recently a picture of myself in the makeup room when they were putting a headpiece on one of the tribal elders, and I look like I have lasers coming out of my eyeballs. I'm just like focused. I'm like uber focused, and that's probably why I was so tired and I was so drained. But in the end, going to your question, I just felt like, believe in yourself, believe in your art, believe that you have what it takes. Don't worry about that it's Marvel and you have to live up to a certain standard. You are the standard. And what you are going to bring to it, if it comes from the heart, everybody will feel it. And that's what I took at the end.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I wanted to ask you about working with makeup and hair, because these are like looks, like completed, finalized, head to toe, amazing looks. And I think usually it takes a film of like historic, like to be a historical film for us to be like, oh my gosh, that dress is so representative of time and it's beautiful. We're walking out of Black Panther like with favorite looks. Like I know guys looking for that blue and green suit already. They're like, where can I buy it? How do I make it? It's gorgeous. How did you guys work together to collaborate on some of these looks?
Well, I come on before hair and makeup, and I'm, from my past films, I'm a stickler for research. And so if you walk into the costume area, basically I have a vision board. It's the size of the one wall in the warehouse where I have Dogon masks. I have one representation of every tribe. I have the Lesotho blankets up on the wall. I have examples of vibranium and how we're going to infuse that. I mean, there is a vision board. And then as you travel through, you're going to see fabrics. You're going to see beads all organized by color. You're going to see mood boards that travel throughout. It's a lot like that room in there that I love, the comic room. But you're going to travel through. You're going to see the Dogon tribe, the Himba tribe. You're going to have inspiration. So by the time they come on, we walk through the images and we talk about, what this means and how we're going to create this collaboration of African artifacts. We're not doing a documentary. We're not taking it from an anthropological point of view. We're moving it ahead and we're presenting it in a futuristic model so that we can all kind of dream about this world of Wakanda. So they look at, we don't have enough time. For me to dictate the hair takes my mind into a whole nother path that I don't need to be on. They're hired because they're experts, and they're going to take my lead. They're going to look at my research. They're going to look at my fitting photos. They're going to look at my illustrations, and they're going to take the lead. They're going to take it. I expect them to take it to another level.
I cannot wait for you to be Oscar nominated for your costume design. You're looking at the winner right here. She's got it in the bag. And we got Colleen Atwood on the run. You know what I'm saying?
Colleen, get out. out of here.
Yeah, that's like, I love you, Colleen. But you know what? I want to ask you, like, from the comic book perspective, what designs did you look at? Because I saw Kirby coming out, as well as like a world design. It's so many beautiful colors, but all of it kind of woven in this kind of that futuristic Wakandan vibe. What did you look to?
Well, you know, there's a visual development department run by Ryan Meinerding. Do you guys know him?
Oh yeah, him and Andy Parks.
Okay.
You should know who these people are.
Anyway, Ryan Meinerding is the head of visual development. They developed that Panther suit long before I get there. And so I have to rely on their knowledge of comics. I mean, he did Captain America. He is the man over there. And I have to rely on their history of the comics because I don't have time to figure it all out. I'm looking at everybody's comics. I'm looking at Reggie Hudlin. I'm looking at Priest. I'm looking at Ta-Nehisi Coates, Ta-Nehisi Coates, but what I could tell is, I mean, even when you walk through this room, you get a sense of it, but you don't get the details. So for a film medium, you have to really bring the details, and that was my job, to infuse more Africa into Wakanda, to give everybody an actual signature to their look, you know, and to employ those people that are going to do the proper crafts. You know, I had a jewelry maker doing the necklaces on the Dora. You know, we had people who were experts at mold making, and then I had to like beat the African thing. I had to beat the African drum all day. Walk through the office beating the drum because, you know, people don't necessarily know how deep that continent can go. They don't realize it's a wealth of resource for art. And so you have to actually train people from point A. They may be great. They may be at Z with what they know about making a mold or doing leathercraft or creating a costume, but they may not know that they're creating a stereotype. And so my job is to bring the artistry of the continent to the clothes.
You set a goal and you reached it. It was beautiful. I'm curious to know your thoughts on, we're getting a lot of photos online of little girls, a lot of girl cliques coming as a door homage to the movies. What is it like to see your costumes on the next generation and seeing these girls get excited to portray the women that you kind of helped create?
Okay, so this is an emotional question. You know, I'm an advocate of little girls that don't really want to show their bodies. And they can now be Doras. They can be Shuris. They don't have to wear a tube top and a cheerleader skirt to be a superhero. I mean, us grown women, we can. But it's really about empowerment. And it's about honoring really what the multidimensional qualities of women. And so I feel like in this film, you know, I thought about it, but I didn't focus on it when we were creating it. But I knew there was a mother, there's a queen, there's a sister, there's a badass, you know, warrior. There's a spy. There's a girlfriend. We covered it. So I feel that the images that I have presented in the Black Panther really do speak to all women in a real positive way, and I think it helps the comic book world to reimagine a new world and a new way of expressing femininity and power.
I'd like to add on to that, like, I mean, you did such a great job at realizing Wakanda and making it feel like a real lived-in world. What is it that, like, you looked at specifically when you looked at artists, like, to see what kind of things, like, felt realistic to you?
Oh, specifically when I compared the comics to the thing, well, you know, that's the thing about the comics. There's no specifics. There is a broad brush. And so specifically in that broad sense, when I saw the Tribal Council, that really kind of spoke to me about what we were going to do in the Tribal Council. Because, you know, in the comics, you'll see a man with a suit and he'll have a Maasai headdress on. Or, you know, you'll see some wearable tech, you know. And when we went to Tribal Council, Ryan Coogler, I must say, and with a pause, he had very specific ideas about what the Tribal Council would look like. He wanted the Himba headdress that the mining tribe elder is wearing. He asked for the lip plate on the River tribe elder, but we gave him an Oswald Boateng suit. So it did feel very comic book like. I mean, that was one of the first fan art that I started seeing, was that Lip played in that green suit, which I felt really, really proud that we could bring an aesthetic to it that honored the comic books, but was all ours.
It was fun to watch how authentic, because this movie, while a good portion of it does take place within the kingdom of Wakanda, it really spans the globe. And so for me to know who you were going into the movie and to see what Los Angeles looked like back in the day, back when you first started working on movies, it felt so authentic, because that's your era when you came into this industry, and so you can see the costumes, and it really felt accurate with reflecting the early 90s culture and how people dressed with that.
Oh yeah, I lived through that.
You just have stuff in the back of your closet.
Oversized shirt, double light white t-shirt underneath the colored t-shirt, showing your little tank top a little bit. Oh yeah, lived through that. Lived through all of that. But didn't live through that with Oakland. That was the difference. That's where we needed Ryan, because you know the Oakland kind of was in competition with LA. So Oakland brothers didn't want to really they didn't want to rock the LA look. I was out here in LA, so I was trying to rock, you know, the LA side of things, put some Chuck Taylors on with, you know, with the Wrangler jeans and the oversized t-shirts, and he was like, no. That's the LA thing. You got to do some Jordans. You got to get Jordans. So I was on a mad search everywhere for real Jordans, and he knew them so well from the 90s. When I'd order a pair of Jordans online, he would go like, no. That's real. That's now. You know, you got to get some vintage Jordans out here. So I was on a quest for Oakland